Okay, well, we've finally gotten to the point where we're talking about money. Okay, this is what you thought you were going to be studying when we talk about economics, and you may have been through all of microeconomics and now half of macro, and we're finally going to talk about money. Over time, money has consisted of a variety of different items, everything from gold and silver coins to little pieces of paper to tulip bulbs. So let's talk about what money is by talking about what the functions of money are. First and most obvious, money is a medium of exchange. Money is something you use in the process of exchange to get something else. Money is a unit of account. That is, we use money to measure value. We use money to denote what the price of something is. In this manner, we are using money as a unit of account. Money is a store of wealth. We can use money to store our wealth over time, so long as that money is an acceptable medium of exchange in the society. That money may be stored and used later. Here's what we in the U.S. tend to think of when we think of money: paper currency. Note that at the very top of the front of a dollar bill is this phrase, Federal Reserve Note. What that means is that this dollar bill is an IOU or a statement of we're good for it from the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States. Notice also this notation right here. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. The Federal Reserve is saying here that in this country, the government has declared that this currency will be acceptable for all payments that you need to make. So let's discuss how we measure the money supply in the U.S., beginning with the most liquid measure of money. This would be M1. M1 consists of currency, that paper money we were talking about, plus checking accounts. All money in checking accounts is considered part of M1 because it's quite liquid. Not as liquid as currency, but still very liquid. Plus traveler's checks, which the youngest among you may not even know what those are, but we used to use those in the days before credit cards. That's a very small amount. So currency and checking accounts together account for the great majority of M1, and then there's a very small amount of traveler's checks. M2 begins with M1. So M2 includes all of M1, plus some other money-like things that are a little less liquid, but still can be fairly easily converted into cash. This would include savings accounts. It would include money market accounts. It would include small denomination CDs, certificates of deposit, and retail money funds. Okay, so all of these are included in a pretty liquid, not quite as liquid as M1. So, but don't forget that M2 includes M1 plus these other things. We can point out here that M1 represents about a quarter, 25% or so, of M2, and savings accounts, another over 60%. So together, M1 plus savings accounts represent the great majority of M2. So to make sure we understand M1 and M2, let me pose a question for you. The question is, if I deposit a $100 bill that was in my wallet into my savings account, what happens to M2? So recall that M2 includes all of M1 plus savings accounts. So you might first think, well, okay, now we have more savings accounts, so M2 would go up. In fact, before I deposit this $100 bill. It's in M1, which is part of M2 already. So when I put it into the savings account, I'm really just moving it from one part of M2 to another. So the answer to this question is nothing. Another question I can ask is what happens to M1 in this situation? Well, the $100 bill was part of M1. Once I put it into my savings account, it's in a different part of M2, but it is no longer in M1. So M1 actually goes down by $100. Our next set of questions will arise when we consider what happens to the $100 once it's in the savings account.